Hello, good evening. Tonight, outgoing league chairman Lord Mawhinney tells us why salary capping is a must for our clubs. And with me this week to discuss that and much more is Northampton manager Ian Sampson and former Southend manager, player and now BBC Essex match summariser Paul Clark. Well, what a week it's been at Roots Hall. Last Monday, we reported assistant manager Paul Brush's sacking. 24 hours later, former boss Dave Webb returned to the club. And the following day, Wednesday, the High Court granted Southend an extension to their outstanding tax debt. Troubled times indeed. Well, Paul, in your role as BBC Match Essex summariser, you've seen all of Southend this season. Can you give us a bit of an overview of the situation for those who are unaware of what's going on at the club?
Yeah, well, put simply, a couple of years ago, Ron Martin drew up plans for a fabulous new stadium away from Roots Hall. You know, they're going to sell the Roots Hall site, supermarket development there, and then the new stadium would be developed alongside a new hotel and retail outlets, which would provide the football club with another stream of revenue. And unfortunately, just as the planning permission got granted, the worldwide recession hit, and all of a sudden, the money dries up, or certainly the access to the money dried up. And it's just since then, it's just been a constant fight for money, and with the ongoing cost of running the football club on a day-to-day basis as well.
Yeah, and what about you, Ian, at Northampton? Have you ever had situations like this at your club? I think in 2002 you had money problems, Save Our Season campaign, wasn't there?
Yeah, we were struggling at the time. I think it was the outgoing board were desperate to try and get rid of the club. I think if we didn't find a new owner fairly quickly, we would have gone out of business. Fortunately for us, David Cardoza came in and we survived, and we've sort of gone from strength to strength.
Oh, good. Well, emotions were running high at Roots Hall over the weekend. First, let's hear what some Southend supporters had to say ahead of the match against Exeter.
We believe in the club, we've been here long enough, and we'll still be here tomorrow and the week after that. And I'm sure Ron will find the money somewhere. He's a canny old soul, isn't he?
Ron Martin, yes, he's still behind us still, and he'll keep us there. He'll find the money from somewhere, and we'll be here next year.
Wait till the camera, Scott. Can I ask you?
He's more open than most chairmen. I don't think you've seen many chairmen having open blogs quite a lot, and offering yesterday to have a Q&A session with all the fans. So I don't think you'd see Man United chairman do that, do you?
Obviously, I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but even if we do go down, I'm sure we'll be back up again. So it's just part and parcel of football, I'm afraid.
There seemed to be a bit of an optimistic feeling pre-match there.
Yeah, I mean, the two bits you've heard sort of sum up the fans' feelings about it. You get some people that believe that Ron is the only answer to the problems, and probably is, being the major shareholder. But then there's the other group, as you saw at the start of the programme, that don't believe a word he says, basically. But thankfully for all of us, 35 days from the previous court hearing, we're all going to find out one way or the other for sure.
Absolutely. And what about the game itself? It was a must-win game against Exeter. 0-0, not the best result, was it?
No, it's a game, because, as you say, everybody thought beforehand was a must-win, but it really summed up both sides. At times they both played decent football, but there was just no end product for either of them.
Yeah, I guess the clean sheet was something to build on, though. I think that's what Steve Tilson said after the game, didn't he?
Yeah, like all managers do, you'll point at the positives, but the opposite argument would be to say, well, Exeter can't score goals anyway, but Southend would just say, well, yeah, we've kept a clean sheet.
Yeah, and Ian, goals have been a problem as well. They sold Lee Barnard to Southampton. It's been a big blow.
Yeah, a great loss. He scored a few goals this season. He's a real key player for them, and I think they brought a lad in from Southampton, Patterson. It's just not happening for them at the minute, but they've got to try and stay strong, and hopefully they can progress back up the league.
Yeah, and Paul, no wins in 2010. We're in a real rut. How did they get themselves out of it?
Well, I just think they've got to be a little bit more realistic about what their aims are during games. At the minute, they keep coming away from games saying, well, we've played well, but we've got beaten.
Well, they did that twice, didn't they, against Charlton and Norwich?
Exactly.
Goal up.
Yeah, very much so. The game against Norwich was the ideal example. But they've just got to go now, look, it doesn't matter how we play it, we've just got to get results. And I just think they've got to be a little bit more committed in the box. I mean, even against Exeter, they had a couple of 3 chances, but nobody's got any real confidence in front of goal. Everybody's trying to make sure with their finish rather than just, when you're confident, you just let it go, don't you?
Absolutely. Well, there's a few blues at the end of the game. And then, of course, this.
Just
us the truth. Speak the truth. You've done is lied and promised nothing. Shut up. Get out, man. Where's all the we don't want you. From last season you promised us. We don't want you here. It's just spin, Ron. You sign it. See you Monday.
Well, they'll see them Monday, but what they didn't get on Monday was their wages. They didn't get paid again, I don't think. It's bad news, isn't it?
It is, and that's going to weigh heavily on the players. It's just a day-to-day drip of the wife coming in saying, well, can we go shopping this week? And every time they pick up the papers, it's mentioned again.
And the feeling against him seems to have changed as well, didn't it, after the game?
Yeah, I think from the players' point of view, any job that you're doing in life, you want to be paid at the end of the day, and they'll be worried a little bit at the moment. They've got mortgages to play. They're not the big earning in the Premier League, so they've got struggles ahead of them.
Yeah, they've got two big games, home to Carlisle, home to Walsall, and there's the league table, 4 points from safety. It's two important home games, isn't it, Carlisle and then Walsall?
Yeah, very much so. And the good thing is they've still got to play a few of the teams down there as well. They've still got to play Brighton and Oldham and Stockport, so it's still very much in their hands. But as you say, they've got to start winning and start soon.
Absolutely. Well, after all that, what about manager Steve Tilson? Here's how he summed it all up.
You've got just weeks to come up with money to avoid being wound up. The PFA had to pay wages in January. There was a small fans protest outside the ground tonight. You're in the relegation zone. What is the future, do you think, for this club?
Future is, hopefully, the new ground goes ahead. I'm sure it will. The chairman's looking to start it in June. So the bigger picture looks fantastic, but like I say, at the moment, the downside is that at the moment we're struggling financially. There's no doubt about it. Everyone knows, it's common knowledge. What you've just said there with the PFA paying the wages, and it's a small hitch, but like I say, the longer term looks excellent. But I think there's no doubt it's very tough at the moment.
Were you paid last week? Have you had February's money yet?
No, not yet. No, I think that's common knowledge. No, we're still waiting to get paid. But like I say, it's a small hitch, and hopefully by next week we get paid. If not, I'll be tapping on your door.
I'll see if I can find you a goal scorer.
Be nice, but we've got an embargo, so we can't take him.
Well, he's putting a brave face on it. He's still able to raise his mouth, but he was quite candid there, wasn't he, about the situation?
At least he's keeping his sense of humour. It's difficult times, and obviously they haven't been paid for February, which is really tough on anyone. But like I say, he's hopeful for the future, and if once he can get the stadium sorted out, and then it's onwards and upwards for Southend, hopefully.
Yeah, fingers crossed. And what about Dave Webb? He's brought him in. Paul Brush went last week. Sad to see him go, but he brought Dave Webb in. What do you make of that?
Well, I don't think he brought him in. I think the chairman brought him in. But whatever the rights and wrongs of it are, the two of them have both got the same goals in mind, and that's to get Southend out of relegation troubles this season. And Steve there, at least he sounded positive.
Yeah.
He's talking positively about the future of the club, but also he's got to remain positive about their hopes for the rest of this season.
Absolutely. Fingers crossed they can do it.